So I just finished watching Wolf in the Fold. This is, without a doubt, the most controversial episode of Star Trek I have seen so far. It had a really interesting premise to it, but it was a lot of the smaller things that kind of upset me and made me feel uneasy about it, I guess is what I could say. First thing, this is a horror episode. It's a murder mystery, and I was intrigued by that. I love a good horror story, a good mystery. My favorite writer is Mike Mignola, who writes some of the best macabre stuff I've ever read. That's the material I really like, and that's where this episode was going. And it just went off the tracks. The basic premise is that Kirk and Scotty, his mothers, are down on this planet, and Scotty winds up hooking up with this girl and goes for a walk. And then we find out that Scotty has apparently murdered her, stabbed her a bunch of times when they find the body, and he's got the knife. But he doesn't remember it. Okay, I am liking this. This is a great setup. We've got Scotty, who is a favorite character of many people. Lots of fun to see him on screen, and now the camera's kind of pointed at him. He's the main character in this story. Cool, I'm liking that. I'm liking the fact that he supposedly has killed somebody, but he doesn't remember it. So, we're getting this mystery, and it's feeling good. And to where it goes from there, that it slowly begins to go downhill. Another member of the crew beams down, this female lieutenant, and they put her in a room, Scotty, and she gets killed as well. Same way, she's stabbed a whole bunch of times. Right here, I had several issues. First of all, she came down with this psycho tricorder, or something like that, that was able to read the last 24 hours of whatever happened. First of all, I thought that was really dumb. We've had several episodes so far in Star Trek that deal with the court system. The Menagerie. It was a 2-part episode that dealt with Spock being on trial. And we had the one with Kirk, where he was on trial. And, we get to see the judicial system in this world, which is really great. Now all of a sudden we have this little device that can tell us what happened. What is the point of having all these great courtroom scenes if we're going to just pull out this stupid box that can tell us what happened? I just thought that was really bad storytelling. That was like a Deus Ex Machina meets a MacGuffin in the worst possible way. That just drove me crazy that you could have something like that. Then they're going to take a murder suspect and put him in a locked room alone with a woman. Okay, isn't this guy on trial or going to be on trial for murdering? I kind of saw that coming. My second big issue is the way they're kind of doing the murders. I saw where they were heading with it, and it turns out it's Jack the Ripper. I had an inkling that's what it was going to be in the very beginning. Walking down a foggy street and lots of stab wounds on a woman. Okay, it's got Jack the Ripper feel. And I didn't mind it too much, but part of me saw it coming, and that bugs me. What really gets me even more is the way they objectify women in this. Oh my gosh, it's awful. Because then a third woman gets murdered, and they're trying to figure out who did it. And by the way, the guy who does the voice of Piglet in Winnie the Pooh is like the main lawyer in this, which is really funny because I just kind of kept laughing because I kept hearing Piglet's voice. And this guy talking about brutal murder. Really, really funny. I sometimes that sort of stuff really just makes me laugh. I don't know if it's because I have a weird sense of humor, very macabre like that. And I love to see almost the reverse of that sometimes, like Finding Nemo, which I didn't particularly like that movie, but my favorite part was Willem Dafoe as the fish. When you think about other Willem Dafoe movies, and then here he is in this kid's movie, stuff like that. Always kind of makes me laugh. Or like Patton Oswalt showing up in a Ratatouille. Anyway, I'm going off on a tangent. But yeah, so Piglet is now trying to convince us that Scotty has done these murders. And again, I saw from the beginning that this guy was going to be the killer. We know Scotty didn't do it. So that right there, okay, it's somebody else. And just the way they were framing this guy, that he was supposed to be very meek and mild, I knew they were going to pull something out. So a lot of that predictability was bugging me. But then what really hit is the way they just kind of treat women in this episode. And Spock has this line, because they basically kind of defeat Piglet Jack the Ripper, and then he turns into some sort of entity and begins infecting the ship. But Spock has this line that he attacks women because women are more susceptible to fear than men are. Yeah, let that sink in. This was like a step back. This was like 5 steps back for Star Trek. Star Trek had been, up until this point, all about like progress and social change. I mean, look at all the stuff that had happened and the social commentary that was going on, and the fact that you have a character like Uhura, who's a main character and a black woman on a show in the mid-1960s, and we've got Sulu and Chekhov, and we can talk more and more, and I have mentioned stuff before about the social commentary of the cast and the Enterprise and how progressive it was for human rights. And then we get this crap. What the hell? Really? I don't know who wrote this, but that was awful. Like, that was a huge slap in the face to everything that had come up to this point. Oh gosh, yeah, that just was terrible. And the way that they did kind of treat the women in this episode as these meek and mild characters. So, that's the bad stuff. Was there good stuff in this? Yes, there was. There was some really great humor. McCoy actually had a pretty witty line I liked about, he had enough tranquilizer to calm an active volcano. I thought that was pretty funny. There were a couple other lines here and there that made me laugh. I liked a lot of the small details in the beginning, like when they're on this planet, instead of applauding, they click buttons and it flashes the table lamps, and that's their way of showing applause. I was like, hey, that's cool. We don't need to have a whole lot of explanation, but we know there's something a little different right there about this culture. That's a cool thing. I did like most of the characters that were new to this episode. Like I said, just hearing Piglet's voice was a riot. They were all character actors and they did a pretty good job. The one thing I really did like was the fact that this episode focused on Scotty more than it did anybody else. And it almost had a feeling like The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, where, Jimmy Stewart is the main character and John Wayne's like the supporting character. And that's what we saw here, is Scotty is in the main and Kirk is kind of in the supporting role. I like that a lot. That was really cool. And getting to see Kirk and how devoted he is to his crew, that was really great. That was it for the most part. I was really hoping this was going to be so much better, because I love the horror and I love the mystery and the closed room murder mystery setting with the Enterprise group. Awesome. But the way they treated women and just some of the framing in it, it was really bad. So that was Wolf in the Fold. I would recommend seeing it so you can say that you have seen it. It's not that great, but it's one of those pieces that I feel like you got to see if you want to see Star Trek. So I've talked way too long about this episode, almost 10 minutes now. I'm going to go and get something to eat, and I will see you guys later.